What's up, A to Z Sports here live on a Tuesday. We are just a couple days away from the 2025 NFL Draft, and we're going to have a conversation about what we know or what we think we know about the Titans ahead of their pre-draft press conference that is this afternoon in Nashville. And Easton, you and Sam will be there in the flesh at St. Thomas Sports Park before the Titans open up their draft room. And oh my gosh, we've got a breaking news this morning coming from Ian Rappaport about what the Titans are going to do in the draft. So we'll discuss that off the top of the show. But 7 things that we know about the Titans and how they want to draft around Cam Ward. Notice how the 7 things do not include Cam Ward. It's about how they want to draft around Cam Ward. So we're going to have a good conversation today about this. And the elephant in the room is that you look
different.
Yeah.
Just Smash as Easton went from 21 to 14 real quick. That's tough. We got the baby face this morning. Listen, sometimes you got to reset. And I was telling Austin, I had we talked about this on the show. I brought it up the other day. Should I keep the beard as long as it is? And you get to the point where you're like trimming up the side of it so much that the line gets lower and lower on your cheek, and then it becomes like a chin strap thing. And you got to reset. So I'm on a reset here. Give it a couple days. It'll be back. Don't worry about it. My wife hates it as much as you in the chat hate it. My wife really hates it, but get over it. Sometimes you got to go baby face a little bit. It's just unusual for me. Somebody says I need to keep the stash. Now, my wife would actually divorce me if I just rocked the stash. She's so hard line against that. Can't do it. Can't do it. Won't do it.
I actually feel like I said this on Friday with Sam. I feel like if A to Z had a mustache competition between the 4 people that do the morning show, us 2, Sam and Zach, I feel like I would not come in last or third. I feel like I would have a chance to come in second.
So who would come in last? Because I think I can grow a mean mustache.
Sam would come in last.
I think you're right. About that.
Yeah.
I would be interested in rocking the stash look, maybe for like a summer, like a Top Gun summer kind of deal. But my wife would. It would not be worth the headache for me. So we're not going to do that.
Yeah. So I did see this Just Smash Easton with a baby face and Austin with a beard. The timeline shift.
It is a flip of norms. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we are going to have a good conversation today about the 7 things that we know about the Titans and how they want to draft around Cam Ward. So this will be a fun conversation about what we have heard from them in the past throughout this entire process and how it's going to play out. We got a couple questions along the way to help us dive into these 7 different things. Eric, thank you that I look good with the beard. I did get a haircut and I kind of like trimmed whatever you could possibly trim with what this is over the weekend. But let's get this thing off and rolling here, Easton. Tell the people what they got to do first.
Yeah, got to like the show this morning on Facebook, on YouTube. Jump in the chat, and while you're there, hit that like button. Should be right there next to it, that thumbs up right below our faces on those 2 platforms. It's the easiest way that you can be a friend of the show this morning, hitting that like button for us. Got to get those numbers up here on a draft week. Got a lot of energy because we're finally here, folks, talking about the end game with the Titans and what they're going to do here in a couple of days. Exciting show planned for you. So make sure you hit that like button and then jump into the comments like Sean and Jeff, Eric, Vanessa, Roger, D, Good, Corey, Sean. I said again, Daniel. Good morning to all of you. Some familiar faces in there. Would love to see some new faces in there. Jump in there, be a part of today's conversation.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome to A to Z Sports here live on a Tuesday. I'm Austin Stanley. He is, in fact, Easton Freeze, one of our Tags reporters for A to Z Sports.com. And we are Nashville's on-demand sports network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. If you haven't yet, please leave us a 5-star Google review. That helps out the company a lot. Quite a bit, actually. So do got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help out all of you. Our presenting sponsors, Wilson County Hyundai. Make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process, even in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. And also our friends at Bart Durham Injury Law. A crash can change your life forever. Help is just a click away online at bartdurham.com. So the breaking news this morning was that Ian Rappaport, with the most obvious breaking news of the draft cycle, that we've all been saying this for weeks, over a month. But here's
Welcome to
what
the party.
after months of speculation, the consensus around the league is that the Titans will stay at the number one pick and rather than trade. And sources say, no surprise, the decision is made. The real trade interest was there. But as one team said, they never opened the door. All eyes on Cam Ward. So, oh my gosh, the breaking news 48 hours before the draft. Ian Rappaport, just to boost his Twitter engagement, had to put that out there. But we all knew this and known this for weeks that the Titans are going to draft Cam Ward. So, Easton, we will just move on beyond that. 7 things we know about the Titans and how they want to draft around Cam Ward. I will hand the mic over to you.
Yeah, I felt like today would be a great opportunity for us to kind of do a recap. You know, I enter this final week when we get to the draft, and I think it's important. I try my best to look back on the totality of the process because everything that we do, all the way from the first press conferences that the teams have after the season, and in this case, introductory press conferences for the new GM, and dealing with the firing of the old GM and talking about the direction they're going to be headed in. And then we get to talk to them at the combine, and we talk to them, folks talk to them at pro days, folks talk to them at the owners meetings, and we get all these touch points, and we see the activity in free agency and the way that they carry themselves there. We see the way that they handle their 30 visits and all of these clues, right? That's what we do all spring long, is put together the clues of what we think they're going to do in the draft based on what they say and they do these past 4 months. And when we get to this final month, I think it is easy to kind of lose sight of where we started and some of the things that were said out of the gate. And especially when we've kind of talked about this a little bit, the excitement of knowing you're getting a new quarterback and how that kind of paints the way that it makes it more, I think, tempting to go get a receiver, or, maybe we trade up for, whatever. And it can be more tempting to be a little bit less patient. I think it would be wise for us to go back and look at the things that they said in January, in February, things that I think are fundamental to the way that this front office is going to operate. And I sat down and ended up with 7 things that we can throw up on the screen, Austin, that I think will guide how the Titans are going to draft. And I kind of want to talk about them this morning, but let's just review all 7 real quick. Number 1, they are desperate for another top 100 pick. They were when they talked about it for the first time in the introductory press conference in February or January, and they were at the combine, and they still are today. We heard who I think it was Adam Schefter's article yesterday, pretty openly saying, hey, the Titans are going to, want to try to find another top 100 pick somehow. We've been saying it here on this show. Everything I'm hearing, trust me, they're desperate for another top 100 pick. That part's not changed. Number 2, they want 9 or 10 picks every single year, right? They want swings of the bat. And in a moment, we'll kind of talk about how number 1 and number 2, maybe you can't have both of those things. You might have to pick between those 2 things. And what will they pick between those 2 things? Number 3, they want to build through the trenches. And we've seen them do that a good deal in free agency, obviously. And so we'll talk about how that may even carry over into the draft and surprise some folks about, they're still taking linemen. Okay, maybe. Number 4, they are desperate for skill players who can separate. More on that in a minute, but that was both publicly and privately last year the number 1 thing that I heard complaints and desires about was, can we get, and we talked about it throughout the season, right? The Titans last year were not a group that could separate between, NWI and DeAndre Hopkins and like that group of guys. Separation was not
anybody not named Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something that I think are putting a premium on in terms of who they're going to draft. Number 5, emphasis on durability and availability. PK wrote a really good article yesterday. I think it was from a conversation that he had saved from the owners' meetings with Chad Brinker about some of their systems from an analytical standpoint throughout this draft process, and something that apparently the Titans are not the only team using. He, in his article, he talked about how he went and talked to some other coaches and executives, and they all lit up and said, yeah, we use that a lot too. These models that are essentially, long story short, predictive based on body composition, how durable and available the player is going to be in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years of their career, basically. Just how much it's a analytical measure of how much tread is left on the tires, right? And your injury risk. And that's something that I think that they're going to, we've seen in free agency. They brought in guys that, the 1,000 snaps last year, 1,200 snaps last year. They want guys that are going to be out there and available to play for them. So that's number 5. Number 6, this is a multi-year rebuild mindset that they have, right? They set it out of the gate. They reiterated it at the combine. We think that this is not something, unlike last year, we're not going to try to put a Band-Aid on every single bullet hole on this roster. We are going to build patiently, and it's going to take a couple acquisition cycles in the offseason to get this thing right. And then finally, number 7, they're process-oriented to a fault, which is kind of all-encompassing of this entire list. There's a reason why they continued to say, even at the owners' meetings, like, we're still not sure. We're going to finish our process no matter what. We're going to do all of the things we set out to do. We're not going to cut any corners, skip any lines, skip any steps. And so I think that that's something that kind of informs why their draft, I think, may end up looking a little bit different than we're all hoping it may. Mm-hmm. And so, before we dive into any of those things more specifically, Austin, do any of those things kind of stand out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a couple different contradictions on there when you're talking about this draft, right? Like, can they do 2 of those things simultaneously? And that's kind of where I want to start.
Okay.
And I know in our show prep call, we wanted to start with one, but I actually want to start with the other.
All right.
Because I think this is the more interesting and important, I guess, of the questions.
Okay.
So what's more likely? Because when I look at this graphic again, and I see you have the top 2 that you actually put up there. This is why I kind of wanted to flip it. They're desperate for their top 100 pick, yet they want 9 to 10 picks each year. So they currently have 8 selections. They don't have a 7th rounder.
Mm-hmm.
They have 8 selections. They have no 3rd round pick, 2 4s and 2 5s.
And 2 6s.
And 2 6s. Is that, yeah. Okay, that's right. So 2 4s, 2 5s, 2 6s, no 7, no 3rd. So they have 8 selections, but they're desperate for another top 100, yet they want 9 to 10 picks. So, there's a way that they could achieve both, but, trading back from 35 is the only way they can do that. The only way they can have really another top 100 pick and add to their total selection.
Well, besides trading players, right? And we've talked about that. That's the other way technically.
Yeah. Sure. Now with Levis, maybe not.
Right, albeit maybe unlikely. Jeff for sure, right?
Jeff would be it would be either trading back from 35 or Jeff.
For a top 100 pick, yeah.
No, both, right?
No, yes, yeah. To get another top 100 pick without, because we've laid this out. I think that they can get another top 100 pick from Levis, but it would have to be a swap. So they would not be adding picks.
They would not be getting to that 9 to 10. So that's where I want to get to this. What's more likely for the Titans? Gaining another top 100 pick or gaining another total pick to get to that 9 to 10, right? Because they want to get 9 to 10 picks over the next 3 years, right? They want to get to 30 picks over 3 years to truly rebuild this team. So what's more likely for the Titans this year? Gaining another top 100 pick or having 9 to 10 total selection. So they're one away from that. Now, again, it's both could happen, but I want to say which is more likely. That's where we want to go with this. I'll put up a YouTube poll here in a moment, but new sponsor alert. How about this?
Ooh.
How about the Barton Jury Insurance Group? Truly a one-stop shop for both your personal and business insurance. Zach and I actually felt that we needed to talk about them because we had a situation last year as a company. We were growing, we were adding employees and adding full-time employees, and we needed to offer health coverage for our company. And we shopped around the market and we found that the Barton Drury Group was the right place for A to Z Sports to invest in, to have our employees have their coverage. And they do a great job. They're customized solutions for all your insurance needs, a true one-stop shop. They sell employee benefits, 401k planning, life insurance, workers' comp, liability, auto, property, umbrella, and surety bonds. So literally anything that you can be looking for, whether you're personal or you're like me and Zach, where you're trying as a business owner to help out your employees. They're local to Nashville and strive to provide excellent service, but also want to take the time to make sure someone understands their insurance policies. I've been able to jump on the phone with several of these guys, whether it be Brian, Charles, or Mike, or Adam even. Jump on the phone. If you have a question about whatever the situation may be, they can take care of you. So bartondrury.com is the website. That's bartondrury.com is the website. Customized solutions for all your insurance need. Once again, at bartondrury.com.
There's so much more to say, but first, make sure you've liked the show for us and then head on over to Google, leave a 5-star Google review for us. It is the easiest 2 ways this morning that you can help us out, is hitting that like button and then leaving a 5-star review on the A to Z Sports Google business entity up there. It is a way for you to also give us some feedback. We read those, we check them. So if you have some thoughts that you want to share, by all means, you can do so in the form of a 5-star comment. We appreciate it.
All right, so we're going through the 7 things we know about the Titans and how they want to build around Cam Ward. And the top 2 things on Easton's graphic are, 1, they're desperate for another top 100 pick, and they want 9 to 10 draft picks per class over the next 3 classes here.
Mm-hmm.
So currently they have 8 selections, and they desperately want another top 100. I think it'll be hard to accomplish both of these. So the question we're just going to ask you guys is, what's more likely, gaining another top 100 draft pick or having 9 to 10 total picks this year? Easton, I'll put up the YouTube poll. I'll send you the chat to see what you've got going on here.
Yeah, let's see. Scrolling to the top here, I am seeing, and again, the question is what's more likely, not what you want more, but what's more likely. Daniel and C. Rich both say getting another top 100 pick. IR Hoshi says getting 9 or 10 picks. Titans Kyle says it's a top 100, as does Kaz, as does Colin. Bizarro PK and Dax and Darius all think that they're going to get to the 9 or 10 pick mark. Jeff says gaining another pick, not the 9 or 10 pick mark is more likely because he doesn't think that they trade back at 35. Lane asks, could a 4th and Levis get them back into the 3rd? I think so, and I wrote about it. Lane, you should go check it out on just search my name on A to Z Sports. You'll find the whole article about it. Kaz says trade out of the 2nd pick, so adding picks. Kaz says best of both worlds here. Corey, 9 or 10. So as I scroll, man, Austin, it's 50-50. I don't know what the YouTube poll is saying.
YouTube poll is going out right now.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to check back on that in a second. But the chat on Facebook and on YouTube is very split down the middle. I can't tell which one's more popular.
I'm going to start answering my way by using one of, I don't know if this is your word or if this is a word that you were told by somebody, but the word desperate shows up twice on this graphic. And I don't know if that was an accident, intentional, or if it was just circumstance.
I'm going to have to leave that to interpretation.
Okay. Desperate is stronger than want.
That, you know what?
When you're a kid and you're
it's a strong grasp on the English language there, Austin.
Your parents and teachers are teaching you the difference on want and need.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to brush your teeth.
That's right.
Right? You may want new shoes.
Yeah.
But you need to change your socks.
Yeah.
Right? All these like wants and needs. Now, desperate is the combination of the strongest need and want together, maybe. I'm just making that up on the fly, but I think it makes sense.
Sure.
So my answer is I think they are more likely to have a top 100 pick than they are to have a 9 to 10 picks. Because if they cannot trade out of 35, or if the right player falls to them at 35 and they do not want to pass on that player, then I think they're going to do something to try to move, like we just said, 2 4ths, 2 5ths, 2 6ths.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got ammunition on day 3. Is there something they can do to move back in on Friday night to the 3rd round after taking somebody at 35? I think they are more likely to get another top 100 pick than they are to add total picks. Now, yes, there is the Venn diagram, but I'm just going to say more likely to check the box of their desperate need of another top 100 pick.
Yeah, a couple of things I want to unpack here, and I think that is an astute observation by you. I think that so I think that there are 4 ways that they can get what they want in terms of desperation.
Okay.
So another top 100 pick. I think that there are 4 ways to get back into day 2, right? And you used the word, you think it's going to be hard for them to do to trade back from 35. I agree it's going to be
I don't know
hard.
if it's hard. I just think there might be something like really enticing at 35 that you don't want to give up.
Oh, see, we're looking at this differently because that's fair. That's fine. I don't think that will be the reason that they don't do it.
Okay.
I think that it is more like if they don't trade back from 35, the thing that kept them from trading back from 35 is more likely to be the fact that they couldn't find a partner than they were just in love with the guy there. I'm not saying it's impossible. There's a guy there that they love, right? Like,
yeah.
If Colston Loveland is there at 35 somehow, like, sick, awesome. If Omarion Hampton is there at 35, there's a chance that they're like, oh, great.
Yeah, if the Titans draft a running back at 35 overall, then that would just be like people
Bedlam.
would be pitchforks.
Well, they shouldn't be if it's Omarion Hampton, because that would be, I mean, we're talking about getting pass catchers, folks.
It would still be weird. It would still be weird, right?
Well, yeah, and I think in that situation, you would probably be able to find somebody that would want to come up and get Omarion Hampton.
Yeah.
Again, looking back to yesterday, all of these inside articles that came out, like the beginning of the buzz of draft week, you kind of read the tea leaves on what the themes are between them each. And I forget who it was. This may have also been Schefter, but somebody tweeted out a list of like, here's all the teams that have somewhat publicly said that they want to trade back in the first round. And it's like 8 different teams. And it's weird. I was scouring the internet. I couldn't find any lists of teams that were wanting to trade up. I don't think that this is a class. I think this is the ultimate trade back class and the ultimate not going to trade up class. And that's because after pick like 10 or 15-ish, a lot of teams' boards between pick, their 15th best player and the 95th best player, the difference is mostly flavors. And obviously it's a very gradual decline. There aren't these steep cliffs that you see in other classes where it's like, wow, the difference between the first round guys and second round guys is really dramatic. Got to get one of these first round guys. It's just not like that. And, I was talking to somebody in the Titans building yesterday, and I said this on 3HL on the radio. I think that the thing that is working in the Titans' favor, and speaking of things I wrote about this at A to Z Sports yesterday, which you can go and read. This quarterback mayhem that is kind of brewing, the direction that it's looking like it's going, that, hey, after Cam Ward, we may have every other quarterback in this class fall to the top of day 2. And if Cam Ward is the only pick in the first round, I think you and Zach talked about this yesterday, right?
Briefly.
We touched on it. Yeah, I think I heard you repeat what somebody had said in their article, that there's likely to be more quarterbacks taken in the first 8 picks of round 2 than in all of round 1. If that's the case, I wrote about why that's awesome for the Titans. And the person that I was texting with in the building yesterday, I said, is this really going to happen? And they said, we sure hope so. We sure hope so. This would be great for the Titans. It'd be great if they got to the top of day 2 and Shitter Sanders and Jackson Dart and Tyler Shuck and Jalen Milroe are all still there. And you got the Browns and the Giants sitting at 33 and 34 right in front of you. And both of those teams wouldn't have taken their swing on a quarterback yet. And you got the Steelers and the Saints behind you who are sniffing in on quarterbacks. And then you add in the Raiders and the Jets and the Colts and then whoever else may be interested in quarterbacks. And you may be back in the catbird seat, to use a really old term. You might be in the driver's seat again in the second round, even though you have the 3rd pick. That's best case for the Titans. And I think that scenario is the most likely way that they end up finding somebody to trade out for with 35. But if that doesn't quite happen, I think those 4 options for getting the top 100 pick are trading 35. That's probably the most straightforward. Trading Levis, which is not straightforward, I don't think. It would take some working on finding the right team and the right deal. trading somebody else on the roster that we aren't really talking a whole lot about. Jeff is the obvious one that comes to mind, but you never know. Sometimes there's a rando. You're like, oh, okay, sure. You're going to trade Chigatonko.
Roger McCreary's been thrown out there too.
Sure, right. Somebody with some value in that way. And that I would guess anybody besides Jeff would probably be a trade that looks somewhat similar to the Levis trade I've kind of thrown out there, where it's a swap of some sort. Yeah. It's complicated. And then the fourth option is, Austin, I think that a trade up is as on the table right now as a trade down is. And this is where we get back to the question at hand, the difference between adding another top 100 pick and having 9 or 10 picks. Because as you've pointed out, they have 2 fourths, 2 fifths, 2 sixths. And if they are unable to move off of 35, they end up taking somebody at 35. They are sitting in that lull between pick 35 and 103, just sitting on their hands, watching dudes come off the board, waiting for hours on end, watching the broadcast. That's one of the things that I'm going to try to see if we can't get to the bottom of their preference of today at the press conference. Like, push comes to shove, man. Are y'all willing to throw a pair of those day 3 picks to get back into the first round? Because I think
third round.
Sorry, it's the third round. Because I think that is something that they are not closed off to as badly as they would like to have 9 or 10 picks. So long story short, I agree with you. I think the desperation for a top 100 pick is real and far outweighs their preference, is I think the best way to put them wanting 9 or 10 picks.
So the YouTube poll has 62% of the votes have another top 100 pick is more likely than having 9 to 10 total. So 62, 63, it's bouncing around. So, it's a good gap between the 37% that think 9 to 10 total picks is more likely. Now, here's something. Daniel brought this up. There will be teams calling about pick 103. That's a great point because that's pick number 1 on day 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a way the Titans could be adding more picks by trading back slightly on day 3 with 103, which is number 1 of the day. That's why having
that's a good point, actually.
It's great because
you trade up on day 2 and you trade back on day 3. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a way. As long as you hold on to 103 and that trade up on day 2, then you're in a good spot to, use that other piece to maybe get back to where you want.
Right.
So I think that's a really good point by Daniel on that one overall. So, look, this is going to be, it's fascinating. It's interesting. And Paul says that's not top 100. I think you don't trade back from 103 unless you pick between 35 and 103.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not going to pick at 35 and then get to 103 and then trade back. That would be really wild to continue to further the gap. Like the board would have to be a disaster once it gets you at 103 for that.
You would have to be adding a pick in between to make that make any sense. Okay, prediction time, Austin. Okay. They pick at 35.
Okay.
We are all set. We just, you and I just the current pick on the board is pick 45, and we just shut down our live stream covering it. And now Sam and I are off to write, and you're doing stuff, and we're getting to pick 55, 65. Are you going to be sitting there saying, tweeting, man, they need to trade up. They need to do what it takes to get back into this third round somehow, some way. Trade Levis, trade picks, don't care. Or do you think you're gonna be patient and say, it's fine, it's all right?
Well, who did they take at 35?
I can't tell you that.
I know. All right, but that
at the top edge or the top receiver. Either way, they have a massive need at one or the other.
The answer is I will probably start to build the bones of a new stream to go live in case of emergency. So I will that'll be the case. So by the way, if you haven't remembered or realized that A to Z Sports, we go live during the NFL draft every year. Last year I wasn't a part of it because I was at my brother's wedding. So we've got Thursday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, we'll go live. And then Friday night, 6 p.m. Central Time, we'll go live. And I think there's some different levers that we can pull to go live again once we stop being live the first time on both Thursday and Friday night. So just a heads up there, the same place as your
that finger on the trigger on Friday.
Yes.
Stay at the computer, be ready.
Yeah, that's the plan. So, yes, I will I would want them. I still want them, regardless of who they might take at 35. I would love for them to try to trade up for a third round pick.
Okay.
And
I'm going to feel the same way, I think. I still think they're trading back from 35. I still think they're again, because I'll be on the show tomorrow, but we'll be talking about different things. Yeah. Going ahead and stamping it, plant my flag right here. I think they're going to trade back from 35.
Yeah. Okay. Jonathan asks, any draft dreams this year, Austin? Not yet.
Draft dreams? Have you, premonitions that you get in your night?
I had a dream 2 years ago that the Titans drafted Will Levis at 11. And I texted that to Jim Wyatt whenever he texted, he texts everybody, hey, who's your pick?
Yeah.
This year I texted him, I was like, why aren't you asking about 35? Like, we all know, like,
I said the same thing.
All Cam Wards.
Well, he told me that part of the reason he's still doing it is to help me continue my streak, because I have the best batting average in that article. Not the flex. Yeah. Okay. After this year, I'll be 3 of 4 in the past. But I
did dream that they would draft Will Levis. I had another dream. I had a draft dream last year. I don't remember what it was. I did have a dream earlier in the draft process, but I dreamt that Shedeur Sanders was on a podcast and called the Titans a poverty franchise.
That's still on the board, by the way. That could, he has a podcast, and you never know. That could still happen.
Yeah. Now I woke up and I was like, man, poverty franchise. That was pretty harsh, man, for the team that's got the number 1 pick.
It's tough.
So I don't know. I haven't had a draft dream yet, but there's still a couple sleeps that I can have that pop up. We'll see if that comment alone just helped me move the ball forward with another draft dream. All right. So let's get back to your 7 things that we think we know about the Titans building around Cam Ward. We've talked through 1 and 2. I think we get to 3 and 4, and you're like, those 2 things kind of contradict each other as well. Mm-hmm. Build through the trenches, but here's desperate again. Desperate for skill players who separate. So let's ask this question here, Easton. Which is more important for the Titans to accomplish? Adding skill players or building through the trenches? So which is more important for the Titans to accomplish in the draft, adding skill players or building through the trenches? We'll get another YouTube poll up there and more comments from you guys here momentarily. But Easton, first tell everybody about our friends at Bart Durham Injury Law.
Yep, Bart Durham Injury Law Center, our friends over there, led by Blair Durham, great Tennessee and great Marine veteran, doing things the right way. We love Bart Durham because they believe a crash can change your life forever, and help is only a click away at bartdurham.com. Your big truck wreck is their fight for justice. So check them out anytime, 24/7. They'll answer your legal questions at 615-242-9000. And they believe that you deserve to be paid. So their attorneys are available to meet with you whenever and wherever is most convenient, including virtually over the phone. Visit the website, bartdurham.com, for current news, blogs, to contact them, to live chat. They've been in business since 1975, so they have 50 years of experience dealing with all kinds of automobile wrecks. Located in Capitol View, Nashville, here locally. They can fight for anybody that has been in a wreck of any kind in Kentucky or in Tennessee. That's bartdurham.com.
Also, make sure you can always hit that like button. If you haven't yet, please hit the like button. Not a lot of people have hit the like button yet. So like the show. Also share the show, and 5-star Google reviews are always welcome for A to Z Sports. So the question now here is, we're going through the 7 things that Easton knows from all the different media availabilities and press conferences and sourcing and conversations. 7 things about the Titans fundamentals for the draft. We just talked about 1 and 2. 3 and 4, build to the trenches and being desperate for skill players who separate. So those 2 things contradict each other again. So which is more important for the Titans to accomplish in the draft, adding skill players or building through the trenches, knowing that you're also rolling with Cam Ward as your new quarterback? So Easton, to the chat you go. What are you seeing here about this one?
Well, the first thing I saw in the chat was Jonathan saying that Austin is no Straff Thomas, which is pretty good. Let's write that down. Let's see. Add skill players, says Louis and Fortin and Eric and Corey and Dustin and Daniel and Scott and Tall Texan and Cristoforo and Ashley. Shall I continue? I have not seen a single answer in the trenches. Now, I think it's important to point out, when people think of the trenches, I think they think offensive line. There are 2 trenches, and the Titans need help badly on the defensive side of the ball in the trenches. So keep that in mind yes, agreed that if it's a difference between offensive line and skill players, obviously they need skill players far worse than they need offensive linemen because they have kind of set that up. But Austin, I don't know. Did you kind of think about this in the framing of edge versus receiver? Because that's kind of where my head was at.
Does edge count as trenches?
Yeah, it's the offensive tackle of the defensive line.
Okay,
it's the most important defensive line.
I'm just making sure because some people are like, yeah, they're outside linebackers, which are not trenches.
People say you win in the trenches, and on defense they mean sacking the quarterback, and the guy that sacks the quarterback is the edge
most of the time. Yes. So
yeah.
I this is tough.
It is.
So you and Sam both have been bringing up this trend of the last 5 teams that have taken the first quarterback in the draft have complimented the quarterback with a skill player.
Don't give Sam credit for that. I found that. He didn't.
Okay, I don't know. I just showed up and you guys had the.
He's repeating the wise words of his good friend.
No. I don't know who had it. Okay,
I had it. I wrote the article.
Well, but you missed something.
Oh,
because you were talking about Trevor Lawrence, with Christian Kirk. You completely missed the fact they drafted ETN, the running back, in the first round.
But it's about receivers. I knew that. It was a good point by you. I points to you for that. You brought that up the first day we talked about it.
Dude,
I was talking about wide receivers.
Right, but you're talking about like supporting though, right?
Yeah, no,
the running back, pass catchers or supporting. Right, yeah. So, do the Titans know that? Do the Titans buy into that? How aware are they in that? Is that something that they know and feel like they have to continue to follow?
Oh, they know it.
That's just not like that's just not a circumstance. That's 5 consecutive drafts.
Yeah, they know it. I know they know
One of them, Brian Callahan was a part of.
It's a good point, and it worked really well that time. So there's some confirmation bias in there as well. I mean, it's funny because when you look up and down that list, it is a mixed bag. I mean, like the Joe Burrow, T. Higgins one it's easily the most successful one because you've got Bryce Young and always
Jonathan
forget
Mingo.
too. Yeah, I always forget because he's so forgettable. Dallas Cowboys legend Jonathan Mingo. We know how that worked out. You've got Kenny Pickett and George Pickens, which has been fine.
Pickens. Yeah, but that was like a 20th pick and like a 50th pick, right?
Right. That's fair. Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, jury's still out there.
1 and 9.
Who am I missing? Oh, Trevor Lawrence and ETN and Trevor. I mean, the Christian Kirk thing obviously didn't quite work out either. So, and I mean, both of those guys, ETN as well, wasn't worth what they spent on him. So, am I forgetting somebody?
No,
that's all of them.
Yeah,
that's all of them.
Yeah.
So it's really just the T one that really proved to be. I mean, do you agree that that's really the only one that's like, oh yeah, good call here?
I mean, Caleb and Rome Odunze is
TBD. That's fair.
Yeah. The Panthers are just terrible with their drafting abilities because like the Texans are like, oh yeah, we'll just take CJ Stroud and get this Tank Dell kid, So
let me ask you this question, Austin. What does your gut tell you that? Because I am with you that I think this is where you're at. I lean towards skill. Get the skill guy for your young quarterback. That's what history tells us to do. I think it makes the most sense logically. But when I'm trying to be Nostradamus and predict what the Titans are going to do, what was number 7 on that list? That they are process oriented to a fault. And this, to me, falls firmly in the bucket of they're going to play this so sober. So, again, number 6 on that list, multi-year rebuild. So to the fundamentals of what they like. I think they're going to prioritize the trenches. I do. Because it's the wise thing to do.
Yeah, but they've already done that.
Fair.
I think that's
not
like the Titans have right. Yeah, but I'm not. I think this needs to be about Cam Ward, and that's what I talked with Zach about yesterday. Is the second priority in the Titans draft is complimenting Cam Ward and building around Cam Ward, and an edge rusher doesn't do anything for Cam Ward. Like not. I mean, you could say like, oh, it allows the the defense to get off the field. Like, I don't care about that. I'm talking about helping Cam Ward directly. And they signed Dan Moore. They've gone back-to-back offensive line, high in the first round the 2 previous years. What did they do last week? They cut NPF and signed 3 guys that have played a bunch of games across the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the guard from Zeitler,
Detroit.
So yeah, they've got Cushenberry coming back. So they have the offensive line, and in my opinion, it's easier for a veteran offensive line group to come in and gel together than drafting younger offensive linemen. And they're not going to draft. Like, you went through a whole mock draft we talked about last week. You didn't draft a single offensive lineman.
I know, and I think I'm wrong. I think they're going to take one somewhere.
Well, yeah, because you should always take an offensive lineman. But is that is the offensive lineman that they draft automatically going to make the team?
Make the team? Yeah. Well, I mean,
no, not automatically.
Well, if he's a 7th round pick, maybe not.
Then I'm a 7th round pick.
Okay, if he's a 6th round pick, maybe not.
If they
draft Jalen Rivers in the 4th round, he's making the team.
Okay, but if they draft a 6th round pick at wide receiver, that guy's going to make the team.
You got a much better chance of making the team.
Yeah, because they don't have anybody else. I think that's the quickest way to improve your roster is through the skill positions. You've invested in veterans and previous draft capital on the offensive line. Mm-hmm. Sure, the D-line is a work in progress, but you still, you have Tavondre Sweat, 38 overall the year before. You've got Jeffrey Simmons at this point still, and I believe they're not going to trade Jeff as much as it would make sense business-wise to do it if they wanted to. Sebastian Joseph Day is there. Yes, they need more edge help, but I think if you have to pick one of them, it's going to have to be skill. You got to do – if you're drafting Cam Ward number 1 overall, then go give him people to throw the ball to.
Yeah, speaking of draft dreams, the thing that has been on my mind the past couple of days, because people ask me, what could the Titans do anything that really blows our mind? They're not going to not take Cam Ward at 1st overall. And I'm like, no, they're taking Cam. Don't worry about that. They're like, so what, what's going to be surprising? And the best answer I have is that process oriented to a fault. And we don't know the way that this new regime, we don't quite know how they're going to draft. We don't know if they're a team that is, oh, look, they drafted, 4 of their 30 visits. Oh, look, they drafted all Senior Bowl guys. Sometimes they're common threat. Oh, look, it looks like they went and really hammered their needs. They got 2 edge and 2 receivers out of this class. The thing that I think would be the most shell-shocking and uncomfortable for fans is if they were really, really BPA-oriented, best player available. And again, just trusted the process and said, we're not going to reach for needs at all. We're not going to consider needs really at all in this class. Donovan Jackson, offensive lineman, offensive tackle, there at 35 for us. Easily the best player available. We had him in on 30 visit. We love this guy. Draft him. Defensive lineman in the 3rd round, 4th round. Oh, we love this linebacker, Danny Stutzman. We love I'm just saying that there. I'm gonna go ahead. I'll plant the flag here. There will be at least one pick that is clearly a BPA selection that rubs people really rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't know where it's going to come.
And I'm not sitting here saying they have to draft a receiver in the 2nd round. I'm not saying that. I just think they need to have more.
I'm kind of saying it. It better be a receiver and edge player. It better be.
Yes, but you just said, you're kind of saying it, but then it could be either receiver or an edge. So I'm leaving the door open for an edge player at 35 or the 2nd round, but they have to invest multiple picks in pass catchers. Have to.
I agree. And they want to be clear. This is something that I've have reported here on the show a couple weeks ago, that they plan on at least spending a couple mid-round picks on pass catchers, probably receivers, but that may be a good tight end, maybe a good running back, whatever it may be. They're going to come out of this draft with at least 2 pass catchers and they have to. They literally have to. Unless they just say screw it, BPA all the way.
Yeah. Daniel says Big Jeff and Henry were best player available. Yeah, but completely different situations when both those guys were picked. Derrick Henry was the 3rd of 3 2nd round picks the Titans had.
To be clear, by the way,
they
I'm not
passed on
making.
Derrick Henry twice in the second round before they drafted him in the
Right.
second round. Like,
Who were the two picks before him?
Kevin Dodd and Austin Johnson.
That's right. Yeah.
And
Nobody
Big
and
Jeff
nobody
was the
number two.
19th pick overall, like, who was injured. He was an opportunity pick.
Right. He
He
was
was a top 5
the
pick who had an
Josh
ACL.
Simmons of this class. Exactly.
Yes, like,
To be clear, I am not making fun of BPA mentality. The best teams, this is why the NFL is the way that it is, right? Because the teams at the top are the teams desperate for specific needs, and they kind of like find a way to like, we really need left tackle. We're the Patriots number 4. We really need a tackle, so we're going to take a lineman who's kind of suspect, and we're going to pass on the guy who's obviously a good football player. And then the teams that are pretty set at the 19th and 23rd pick, they're just like, oh, great. Look, Colston Loveland fell into our lap. This guy rocks at football. He's just going to be good. And then we're going to stay good forever because we're good at football and we're a team that knows how to draft the best players. That's how this works. Yeah, exactly. And then we all come out of the first round like, how could we have let the freaking Chiefs got the second best? Well, because you guys all drafted for need. So that's kind of on you.
Yeah. Now, Daniel says, but the Titans had Jarrell Casey and DeMarco Murray is the point. Like, the DeMarco Murray thing was confusing because you just traded for DeMarco Murray, who is your bell cow, and you go spend the 45th pick on Derrick Henry, and you're like, why? That's redundant. But in time told us that DeMarco Murray didn't have that much longer left in his career. And the whole thing about Jarrell Casey and Jeff Simmons is they play different positions, and so they can play together. So that's where, yes, you might have Jarrell Casey, but adding Jeff to it made sense. All right, the YouTube poll on this one, Easton, 70-30 skill player.
Makes sense.
Which, again, we're asking more important. I think it is skill player because you've done the trenches, in my opinion, on the O-line through free agency with veterans, which I think was a smart move.
I've been playing
on top of the draft capital you just spent with J.C. Latham, who got a haircut too, by the way. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah, he is no more dreads for J.C.
Oh,
He'll look very different next time you see him.
High and tight. All right.
Yeah.
I've been planting flags all morning, so I'll plant a third one. I will call my shot. This is probably subject to change before the actual draft. Right now, calling my shot on the second round pick in order of likelihood.
Okay.
I think most likely they trade out of 35.
Okay.
Second most likely they take an edge player. Third most likely they take a receiver.
I mean, I think that makes sense.
So just, prepare yourselves appropriately for that. Odds are there is going to be a better edge player available at 35 than there will be a receiver.
Yeah, I think that's just work. I think that, yeah, I agree. That's how the class rolls. Okay. I'm going to end this poll at 70-30, maybe. Okay. If you two will let me. No, it's not. So
I didn't know you had to end them. You can't just let them go on forever.
You can. You don't have one poll at a time, though. So anyway.
Oh, we have a new poll to do. I see.
No, we don't actually. So I'll let it ride. So
okay.
There is a press conference.
We have a question, though.
Yes. There is a press conference later this afternoon.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. You will be there.
That's the plan.
And the question is, what do you want to learn most about this pre-draft press conference? Because we already know Cam Ward's going to be the pick. So what do we want to learn most about this pre-draft press conference? Easton, we'll get to everybody here in the chat momentarily, but I will tell everybody about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. That is the website for you to go book an appointment to take care of whatever that injury is, because injuries happen in life, just like in football and other sports. So when that happens to you, make sure that you can trust on the Bone and Joint Institute team to take care of you. For me, knee injury in the past, foot injury in the past too, all taken care of right there in Franklin by booking an appointment, boneandjointtn.org. You just type in, hey, you could say foot injury, and it says, here are the doctors. Dr. Jeff Watson's my guy, though. He's the man. So you go, Dr. Jeff Watson, and he's like, schedule, boom. And then I get to pick whatever fits my schedule. And I was in and out in 40 minutes, like waiting room time. I brought my computer, was going to do some work, couldn't even take the computer out of the bag, and just was already going back to see Dr. Jeff. So, and then out and on about my day in 40 minutes or less. That's happened to me 3 different times there at the Bone and Joint Institute. They can take care of you quickly and efficiently online, boneandjointtn.org.
So much more to say here on the morning show, but make sure you have liked the show. Make sure you have left a 5-star Google review for us. Those are the easiest ways to be a friend of the show. We appreciate you doing that.
Okay, Easton. This press conference.
Yeah.
What do you want to learn most in this press conference? And then we'll also see what the chat has to say about this.
I want to learn who they are taking with the first overall pick.
Yeah, which we know.
I want to hear them say it.
Will they say that today?
So that was my first point, is that I don't know, and probably not. I don't care. What I do care about is, please, which camera am I looking in? This one? If you're listening, those of you that are going to be hosting this press conference, please just allow us to have a conversation predicated on the mutual understanding that Cam Ward is the pick. I am not going to drive all the way to the facility to ask questions about, well, once you have a young quarterback, do you want to support him with a wide receiver in the second round? And have your answer be, well, we don't have a young quarterback at this moment, blah, 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 pretending like Cam Ward's not about to be a Titan. Don't do that, man. Don't make every question a correction of our assumption that Cam Ward's going to be the pick. Okay. You don't have to say it. If you don't
Adam Schefter, I'm sorry, Ian Rappaport just told us this morning that it's going to be Cam Ward.
I know. So let us all, you don't have to say it out loud, but let us all work under the assumption that Cam is on the team, because that's what all the questions are going to be about, right? Most of them probably should be about the fact that you are now operating as a team that is in a rookie quarterback window, because you just picked the first overall quarterback pick. And if they sit there and correct us, it's going to make me pull my hair out.
Chill mode's right. If they don't say it, then what's the point of not saying it?
I know. Chill mode. Great question.
David says, I want them to say that they're still taking calls for the first pick.
They probably will. They'll probably say, hey, our phone line, we never turn our phones off. Always open. And by the way, fourth flag plant today, the Titans are going to take at least 9 of the 10 minutes they have on the clock with the first overall pick.
I think that's the
over
NFL,
under of
though.
9. I'm taking the over.
I think that's just the NFL.
No, I think that's a part of it. I'm just saying. I think that they're going to sit there and sit there and sit there. Got to get some TV time in.
Yeah, for
Top
sure.
of the draft.
So 1 p.m. is the press conference time. We'll have coverage from it. Questions. Does Cam already have the playbook?
They can't say that, but
no.
Yeah,
yes.
probably.
Darius, what's the process to select the skilled player when selecting them?
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. What steps are they taking to maximize Cam Ward's potential? From Charlie Hustle. Yeah. What would happen if the Titans trade our boy?
Is this about Levis? Is Levis our boy?
Yeah, I think that's something we've talked about that a lot.
I tweeted this yesterday. I said Titans pre-draft crystal ball. We're gonna ask him about Levis. Probably Teresa's gonna ask him about Levis. If I had to just guess somebody, maybe Terry, and it's going to be an answer that they have to give. Right? It's going to be Levis is on the roster. We're excited to have him back on the roster. We plan on having him around. PSA: don't buy it, man. Don't buy it. Do not. But I am not coming on the show tomorrow with Sam talking about, was Levis actually going to stick around? It's not happening. They could spend 30 minutes opining, swearing up and down that we love Will Levis. You guys don't get it. We want this guy to be around so bad. You have no idea how much he's improved. There's nothing they could say that will convince me that he's not gone.
The Titans also start their off-season workout program today.
Yeah, isn't that so weird, by the way, that the coach is dealing with the current players all of a sudden? It's draft week. What a night! What a headache.
What's the point of this press conference?
This is something I've been asked. A fair question. I think that the point of it, first of all, you will never catch me complaining about a press conference with the front office because we get 4 of them a year. Yeah. I think the point is to set a baseline for draft philosophy right before the draft, because then when we talk to them afterwards, you can kind of I think it allows us to get some kind of a measure on how successful they were of their own goals. Right? I think this is a general goal stating press conference that we then go see how successful they are on Thursday and Friday at achieving those.
But it's also at the same time, yes, I get that. But at the same time, they are almost not in control of achieving their goals.
Not
because the draft is so fluid.
Yeah.
It's everything, and we struggle with this because you have like, oh, should the Titans trade back at 35? Well, it's like, okay, well, who's on the board?
Right.
Right. And then, okay, who's calling you? Like, there's so many, yeah, but and variables to every pick, every selection. What if, like, we don't know what the hell is going to happen? Like, everybody thinks it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be Ward, Hunter, Carter, and are the Patriots going to Will Campbell? Are they going to do the Missouri tackle?
That's what people think is Will Campbell.
But then, the Jags are going to take Mason Graham. Are they?
Maybe.
Because one thing shifts everything.
I'm old to remember the Falcons taking Michael Penix, and then everything was bedlam.
I mean, I remember 2019, 4th overall. Raiders take Cleveland Farrell. What? Right. Who? Why? There?
The Patriots take Cole Strange, the 3rd rounder.
But that was like 26 or something like that. Well, we're talking about like 4th.
But still, I think we're going to get multiple picks like that throughout the first round, where it's like this draft in particular, man. There's going to be some holy cow moments throughout.
So it's almost so that's why I say like it's hard for them. Like they're not even that much in control of achieving and hitting their goals. Like because
that's not an out though. You don't get that's not an excuse anybody.
No,
gets
I'm not. But that's just how it goes though, because it's like what you like. You don't want to. I think the draft is you have to stick to your process, but when you open to opportunities, so like, but sometimes an opportunity can knock you off of what your process told you it should be because you weren't expecting that scenario to happen.
Sure, the best drafters find value no matter what the situation is,
right?
And they find ways to achieve their goals and achieve surplus value. Like that's what the Titans are going to have to do. They don't get the excuse of, well, this was our plan and then somebody took our guy. And then
that's what I'm saying. Like, so what's the point? Like, so the point of this press conference is to have a fundamental baseline of what their goals are and what their objectives in the process are. But they knowing that they had no idea what's going to happen by the time they get back on the clock at 35.
Yeah, no, but good drafters find a way to achieve. I'm
not saying that they're not good drafters or bad drafters. I'm saying like that the answers they're going to give today don't mean anything.
I don't agree. Why wouldn't they mean anything? If we ask them today about what their preference is at 35 and they give us some semblance of an idea,
it doesn't mean that you can point at them on Saturday afternoon and be like, you said this on Tuesday and it didn't happen.
First of all, Stillman will. Second of all, you can. I think it allows for an opportunity for them to explain what happened, right? Because if today we ask, what do you want to do at 35? And I don't even think they're going to answer this, but they say, we're really looking at the edge position. Receiver maybe, but we'd prefer edge. And then 35 comes and goes, and they take, Luther Burden suddenly. Then on Friday, we're going to say, hey, remember what you said on Tuesday? What happened? And then they get to explain, well, this guy went off the board, and then we were hoping for this guy, and it allows for us to get a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, but they're not going to but every GM, every front office, every coach is going to say, well, that's who we hope fell to us. Like you always get the silver lining.
Okay, and then we get to say, okay, well, then what the heck were they talking about? Like that's what we get to do then is they're just talking out of both sides of their mouth all of a sudden.
Yeah, but I just don't think there's any value in it. I think the draft is going to happen how the draft goes, and I don't think what they say today means all that much. Do you have what questions do you have prepared for today?
I don't know
that you have 3 or 4 hours left to do this, but
yeah, I have a couple questions in mind, but we don't need to. I mean, it's gonna be poking and prodding generally at what their mindset is, kind of in line with the tenets we were talking about at the top of the show, right? What's more important to you? Getting another top 100? How desperate are you willing to be publicly?
Here's what you should do.
Okay.
You should open whatever your mock draft simulator is of preference. You should just run it in the press conference. So you're on the clock at 35. Here's who's available. Who do you pick?
So stupid. Get kicked out of the press conference. Yeah, I'm gonna ask him like 4 or 5 questions about Isaac Tisslaw is actually what I'm gonna do.
There you
go. Then I'll dip out.
Okay. Ready for some shade?
There. 5th flag plant. There is going to be more value from this press conference than you think there's going to be.
How many flags do you have?
5. I've counted them.
Okay.
Don't ask me to repeat them all because I've forgotten flags 1 through 3 already.
All right. Are you ready for some shade?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. If you got shade in the chat, throw the shade. We got shade, plenty of shade. Let's do it. Shout out Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Pain bonus to save you some money right there. Okay, go ahead.
We have some super chats, by the way.
Oh, dang it. Thank you. My bad, Adrian in TLG. A big salute to East in this draft season. He is an absolute. This is why, right? Reminder of the super.
Hey, I know. I'm just trying to be a good steward of the super chats. No
right.
particular reason I wanted them called out.
Adrian, I do agree. Easton has had a fantastic draft season, but that's just the beginning. You have to have a great post draft season too. TLG says
the grind continues.
Just raising the expectation level. Mm-hmm. TLG, does the fact that Washington and Denver had success with young quarterbacks not having drafted a new weapon leave the door open for a different approach in Tennessee?
Yes.
So because interesting, right? Okay. Like I get what you're saying.
It's a thing. We heard that they studied the Washington build, right?
But they also had they added new weapons and they had talent.
Not exciting ones. No, they had Terry McLaurin and a bunch of used cars
but Zach Ertz is valuable to a rookie quarterback. Like, don't tell me otherwise.
I'm talking about
having that.
Zach that matters.
That absolutely matters. Like having a long-term veteran like that who is savvy, who's been around the block a bunch, that knows exactly what to do in big situations, that can be reliable, massive.
Agreed. I'm just saying.
Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, the Titans have Calvin Ridley. He's a starting NFL receiver. You have one.
But Terry McLaurin's
better. Yeah, and younger.
And Zach Ertz is more valuable than anything else the Titans have.
I don't know. I've always said Zach Ertz, Chikakonkwo, 1-1.
Oh, is that what you've always said?
That's my philosophy.
That's your sixth flag you're going to
That's right. I'm officially a theme park. 6 Flags over here.
Oh, God. I walked you right into that one.
You did.
Okay. Shade. Do you want to throw shade? Do you have shade?
I have one right off the top of my head. Again, this is the thing I'm the least good at this entire company is planning a shade before we get to shade, but I just thought of one.
Okay.
This is so minor, but it's been annoying me. I hate when companies try to get you to do things before you actually need to make more money off of you. The thing that came to mind for me was oil change is an example of one of these things where you get the little sticker in your car in the corner where it's like, come back by this date or this many miles is when you need your oil change. Is this ringing a bell? Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. And I had one of those in my car, and hand up, in fairness, the number and the date passed a long time ago because I was waiting for the car. You know how the car tells you change oil because the car knows when.
Yes.
And it was 4,000 miles later. And then I looked up the type of oil and the number of miles, and the number, what they told me was totally to just get me to come in and buy new oil when I didn't need new oil. They do this with air filters and water filters in your refrigerator, all of the little things in life that you have to replace. All of these companies, just a bunch of liars trying to get you to buy a new one before you need a new one. So do your own research and don't waste your money. Windshield wiper blades. Oh, we come back every 6 months. No, I need windshield wipers every 2 years max. Don't bother me with your new windshield wipers. Quit trying to get me.
Air filters are the one I would disagree on. That makes a difference.
It makes a difference, but when you read the side of the thing, the recommendation, it's replace every 3 months.
No, it's because you know what these companies are doing? These companies are doing the thing that we all have the person that okay, the reservation's at 7:30, but you have to tell this person 7. That's what they're doing.
They're covering their butts, basically.
No, because we're going to be late to change the oil in our car. We're going to be late to the windshield wiper. We're going to be late to the air filters in our house. We're going to be late to those things because we're busy. Fair. And so if you tell us early, then maybe we'll be less late.
It's kind of like low on gas. Your car tells you you're low on gas when you have 70 miles left or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. Because it just allows you to be less late.
Well, it feels like a scam, as Derek says in the comments. So
it's protection. They're helping.
Daniel says Easton has a fancy refrigerator with a water filter. Does that make it a fancy refrigerator?
If you have a refrigerator that has a water
thing
dispenser, then it has a filter.
Yeah, it better.
And Daniel is drinking things that he probably doesn't need to be drinking.
His filter is 7 years old. It's not doing anything.
Daniel's just builds my
Comes out cloudy. He doesn't care.
Good night. All right. Let's
Shade?
Nick,
Comments?
shade me. Last month, I said that Zach Edey was going to do nothing in the pros, that Connect is a better player. Edey had a slightly better rookie season than Connect. Thoughts? One, I haven't paid any attention to Memphis outside of John Morant's celebrations that are now getting him in trouble. Two, I do know this. Dalton Connect played in the most games of any Lakers player this entire season.
Is that
Dalton
true?
Connect, yeah, it's 78.
Wow.
Yes. So
and he almost got traded in the process.
He did get traded and returned, and then still played in those 78 games. So
how does that make you feel, man? That's crazy.
Like Dalton Connect is a better player, better NBA player than Zach Edey. There's different opportunities in what Dalton Connect has been presented with in LA than what Zach Edey has in Memphis.
Was Zach Edey a pivotal part of the Grizzlies' 50-point loss yesterday or 2 days ago?
Tell me about that. Now, the Lakers also got railroaded in their first game. Yeah. So
that's true.
Anyway, but Zach Edey still drives me crazy. Ashley, shade on A to Z for not letting Lou Man on YouTube and making us on Facebook suffer. Yeah, that's right. I did ban Lou Man on YouTube.
When was this? No.
Because of some actual like slanderous comments that he was saying in the YouTube chat. And so now he's just bothering everybody on Facebook. So now you guys get to experience
actions meet consequences. Yeah.
Yes. Vanessa, shade on calling Cam McNair even without starting an NFL game. I don't know if that's exactly what's happening. Roz says, Connect can't even get on the floor. He has zero defense. He's on the floor. God, it's stupid.
Why are we debating NBA at the end of this episode? Stop.
James, shade on the fake Adam Schefter on X for announcing the Titans have informed Cam Ward he's the number 1 overall pick. Yep. The head on a swivel for
got to keep an eye out this time of year, man. I did just see from the real Schefter that the apparently the Browns and the Giants are fielding trade calls for pick 2 and 3 per Peter Schrager. So now that the Cam Ward sweepstakes is officially over, I guess that they're hoping somebody wants to trade up for one of the only 2 blue chip guys in the class. Maybe. Have we heard of a single team even remotely interested in trading up?
Somebody said the Broncos.
I have heard of, okay, maybe. I have heard of 10 different teams that are like, we really want to trade down. With who?
That's how it works, though. That's how it works. Like, nobody's saying, like, I want to trade up. Is because that just makes you pay more. If you're out there saying you want to trade up, it makes you have to pay a bit.
That's fair, but narratively we talk about it. Like last year, we talked all about like, the Vikings would really like to come up. They'd like to come up for their quarterback, right? Like we knew this. Yeah. We have not identified any teams that make sense to go get a guy for because of the guys, I guess.
Here's good shade. Eric and others have this too. Shade on Nico Harrison for saying he didn't know how important Luka was to the Dallas Mavericks fan base.
This guy's got to shut his mouth.
That's a good one.
He's just digging a hole. I mean, imagine saying that out loud on a microphone in front of a camera. That's crazy.
Yeah, Sean was on that one too. So my shade. Do
you think he like lives in perpetual fear? I'd be worried for my personal safety if I was him. Like I'm obviously don't want anything bad to happen to him, but if I was him, I'd be paranoid.
Yeah. All right. So Jeff throwing shade, chill mode throwing shade, where I'm throwing shade, and that is the Iamaleava family. And honestly, it's going to go square on the shoulders of Big Nick Iamaleava.
Okay.
This guy is ruining his family's reputation.
You got to.
And I know that reputation is a big deal to other members of his family. Yet he is just bamboozling both of his son's future 1 week after the next. I don't know if Nico Iamaleava or Madden Iamaleava are going to be draftable by the time they are draft eligible because of how ridiculous Nick Iamaleava is acting. So what happened, Daniel, is that Nico Iamaleava commits to UCLA, and then yesterday, Madden Iamaleava, who is an early enrollee freshman in Arkansas, who was committed to UCLA, then flipped away from UCLA to Arkansas, just entered Arkansas and hasn't even finished a semester at Arkansas, entered the transfer portal, and is now going back to UCLA to be with Nico. It is so ridiculous, this family.
I was talking with somebody in the league yesterday about this kind of randomly. And they were like, even if he's awesome at UCLA, which doubt, but even if he is, this time next year, everything is going to be about this situation. You have already branded yourself a certain way that is not good at all in the eyes of these teams. You have unmasked yourself, for better or for worse, fair or not fair, as what you are. And teams don't want this. They do not want this. So, I mean, Nico could win the freaking Heisman this year, which is not going to happen, but he could be incredible. And it's still going to be all about this, man.
The amount of ways that Nick Iamaleava has downgraded Nico, his firstborn's opportunity and situation is insane.
It makes me wonder how they got here in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, how did he not screw it up before this?
Because Nico's really talented.
I guess so. Yeah, that's fair.
And timing. Nico was graduating high school at the right time when NIL was brand new, and you could pay somebody. And he took advantage of being the first, being born in the right year and graduating high school in the right year and going to the right school that needed to be rehabilitated because Jeremy Pruitt was going out. Hype was in. Needed to be like Tennessee and each other 2-3 years ago. They no longer need each other. Tennessee no longer needs Nico. Or no longer, I mean, they could use Nico. I don't want to say that because Tennessee would be better if Nico was still there, I believe. But not with this situation. Not with Nick Iamaleava pulling the strings. Not with all the things that we've learned from the last week plus. Nick Iamaleava is worse than LeVar Ball ever was.
Yeah, he's a cancer, man. It's
toxic. I mean,
it's a shame.
Transfer them to the moon. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, send them away from here.
Transfer portal to Mars.
I've got my top 5 transfer portal locations for the Iamaleava family.
Let's hear it.
Go to my Twitter. You all go through. Moon is number 1.
Okay.
Number 2,
good
the
fit.
DMV.
It's good scheme fit. I like that.
Yeah. Number 3 is the Small World ride at Disney.
Just on repeat.
Yes. Number 4 is Dunder Mifflin, Nashville.
Okay.
Number 5, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good list. It's a strong list. I like that. I like Dunder Mifflin, Nashua. That's good.
Thank you. That was a deep reference.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah. Okay. That is it for us on this Tuesday. Buck Rising. Oh, Sam live tonight for prime time. The press conference at 1:00, and then Sam and Easton will be back in the morning to recap this press conference that they're both going to be at with the Titans front office and head coach Brian Callahan before the draft and the draft
press conference.
Huge
press conference.
Very important things are going to be said.
Deeply
Establishing planting of flags at this press conference today. So
I'm going to change everything, honestly.
You hit the like button, like the show. That goes a long way for us. Please like the show. 5-star Google reviews, and we'll see you guys throughout the week on draft week. Let's get it going. Appreciate it as always.